WarsawJS.
Please welcome to our Paramount studio stage, Hollywood, here we come, Mr. Kacper Pietrzak. Are you ready, Kacper? And unfortunately, although rozumiem trochę po polsku, I could not translate the title in Polish. What's the Polish title of your talk again? You have a mic?
So this is my mic, sorry, I need to take it away from you. In Polish, spying, a spy is a szpieg, so szpiegowanie funkcji. Which sounds weird, to be honest.
Yeah,
like, let's just use the English, you know, it's the language of IT, so yeah, of business. Yeah, so actually I will be speaking about something really, really simple. So I noticed that in JavaScript community, we tend to use console log a lot to understand how the system behaves. And I also, like the previous speaker, needed to work with a legacy system, so I needed to understand it. And in JavaScript, when you don't have, you know, static types, the only way to understand the system is actually run it and inspect the runtime. So spying on functions here, it doesn't mean spies like in testing. It's more like trying to understand what's going on. A spy will be a wrapper. So we will just be able to wrap a function, and all the magic will be happening here in between the line 1 and 3, just because I can inject my old code there. If I have a function like add, and I don't have a, you know, the definition of this function, but I can wrap it. So basically, I can understand a lot of things about this function. So obviously, its arguments and the return value. So yeah, if someone runs this function, I can just inspect the arguments because I wrapped it. But I can also access the name of this function. Maybe most of you know that function is an object in JavaScript. So you have a property called name, which, as long as the function is not anonymous, it will have either the name of the variable or the name of the function definition. So yeah, it's useful for, you know, debugging purposes. Also, we can measure the time of the runtime of the function. So if we just measure the timestamp before and after the function runs, we can easily get the runtime of this function. And also the call stack is quite easy to get. We can just, you know, construct the error object, and it already has the stack property. Here it's not quite useful because I'm just running the function in the root of my file. But if it was called by another function, the call stack would be much more meaningful to me. And actually, if you put all of that together, and internet is nice. Yeah, I think it has to do with permissions. It's, you know, like when you share something, when you share a video on Google Drive. Yeah. Sorry, it's my fault. I tested on the private browser mode, but anyway, we can go to another slide. Oh, it works. Sorry. It just doesn't work full screen. Yeah, no, it doesn't work anyway. So going to my next slide. Basically, I've created a tool that will tell me, so maybe starting from the left-hand side, if I have my spy, instead of logging to the console, I can actually send this somewhere. So I can send it to my own UI instead of, you know, trying to read something, understand how my system works through, you know, the terminal for the console. I can actually use a more sophisticated UI, like a DevTools, like Redux DevTools, or I actually implemented my own DevTools. But a nice use case for that is you get all this information about the function sort of for free, just by wrapping that. So the actual use case that I have is I debug the staging environment in this way, that I set up an ngrok instance that points to my own machine. And in this way, basically, I can understand much better how the whole app behaves. So yeah, it was actually very surprising that it works much better. You know, this kind of wrap spy than just console logging, because I don't have to focus on what to log to understand the system. I just place spies everywhere, you know, and it's much easier to understand the whole system. Unfortunately, you won't see it because the video doesn't work, so sorry.
So what was the video? That's my question.
So it was actually the demo of my own dev tools that I wrote that I use really every day to debug the legacy system that we use. That is based on the information provided from this spy. So it was really the core information that we needed to get. So sorry guys.
It's a live demo. Okay. Any questions for Kacper about his lightning talk? Over here.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, thank you for your talk. How did you manage problem with this in your function? Because you can't call bind.
Yeah. So I rarely really use classes, but when I do, I have to bind it or wrap it in another arrow function just so that this works. Yeah. So it is a problem, but not so much for my code base, because this code base isn't so much dependent on classes.
Any other microphones? Oh, any other questions? Here we go. Danielle, of course.
1, 2, 3. Not really a question, if I may, but where I come from, this concept, like this generalized concept of wrapping a function is called middleware sometimes. And it's really powerful because this kind of wrappers, when you wrap this thing that you demoed, start and end time and so on, they're composable, so we can wrap it in the one that outputs the start and end, and then wrap that one in another one that does the timing. And it's a very powerful mechanism for implementing stuff like HTTP handler. So if you can imagine an HTTP handler as a function taking request and returning a response, then you can have all sorts of this middleware that do things like injecting extra thing into request, cookie handling, caching, and so on and so on. So it's really generalizable, and that will say
so this is essentially what middlewares are in Express. It also works as a wrapper, let's say. Yeah, it is very useful. Thanks.